Stocks were mixed on Friday as investors took in new information on the asset purchase tapering and inflation from the Federal Reserve. At the same time, there was a batch of fresh earnings reports. The Dow set a record closing high, taking out a previous record close from back in August. However, the S&P 500 sold off after setting a fresh intraday record high. The reversal for the S&P 500 came as a Fed chair said the central bank was on track to begin a taper of our asset purchases that, if the economy evolves broadly as expected, will be completed by the middle of next year. The central bank had previously indicated it believed the economy was nearing the recovery threshold that would warrant the start of tapering. As a side note, the Fed also acknowledged that elevated inflationary pressures are likely to last longer than previously expected, likely well into next year. Well, Captain Obvious, that is something even Ray Charles saw a long time ago. As for the Nasdaq, it underperformed following a couple of weaker than expected technology earnings reports. And speaking of earnings, based on quarterly results so far, many companies have shown they managed to grow profits even in the face of rising input and labor costs and the supply chain challenges. So, let's take a look and see what the charts are showing. We're going to look at two charts today, beginning here with the volatility index, the VIX, and we're using stockcharts.com, and the symbol in the upper left is $VIX. And as you can see here, we're at a relatively low level, 15.43, as of the close on Friday. And you can see down here in the lower portion that the fast line and the slow line have come on down and they're below zero. Looking up here in the upper portion, you can see that the RSI has bottomed and it looks like it might want to take a turn to the upside. And that brings out the old adage, what goes down must come up. And if the VIX is going to come up, then the markets are going to go down. So keep your eye out. It's not quite time ready for the VIX to make its move, but it's something to keep in the back of your mind because it will happen. So let's now go take a look at our charts. And we're now taking a look at the 6-month daily chart on the spiders, the SPY, and the close on Friday was 453.12. And as we talked about, we had a record intraday high here, but we closed down. Now we had eclipsed this day previous record high, and of course these record highs back in early September. Now subsequent to those records back in early September, we had a pretty good drawdown, sell-off, a bottoming and a basing, and then a move on up. And much of this was expected, and I think we went through this evolution fairly easily. But now we're back up here, and we're near what could be called a double top. And oftentimes in a double top, other investors are looking at this and they could do some selling simply because they're a bit fearful that we may not make it higher than this level here. So be prepared for some selling next week. It's a possibility. I don't think it is all that significant, but a possibility. And along with that possibility, we have this declining volume, which is also not necessarily a good sign when you're reaching record highs. But again, I don't think it's significantly negative. Moving here into the MAC, you can see we had that nice bottoming basing and then that rocket on up. Now both the fast line and the slow line are above zero now. There's a pretty wide separation, and that means there's a lot of velocity in this move. So that's why I'm not too concerned about this top that or double top that we might be in right now. I think we'll get through that. Perhaps a bit of volatility, but nonetheless, I think we're going to be on our way. And here in the histogram, you can see a little bit of hesitation there. I don't think it's going to be significant. I don't think that's the probability. It's a possibility we could do some selling, but I don't think it's the probability. Into the price rate of change, much the same. Here in the RSI, you can see a little bit of dip. We haven't reached that oversold territory, which is above that level of 80. So I still think we're relatively safe. We're strong and moving on up, and that looks pretty healthy. Moving down here into the stochastics, much the same. And the Williams has been in that oversold territory for some time. And usually this oscillator hits that oversold or overbought territory before the other oscillators. And I call it where the Williams pulls the other oscillators and the price charts into these positions. So oftentimes the Williams leads the other oscillators. Moving back up here to the price chart, one last look. Have some expectations for the possibility of some selling, but for the most part, I think we're going to be hitting record highs soon enough. And for today, that's ChewDog Charts. Thank you.